Beginning of a second session of the day with all energy and excitement shown by our presenters. Texila e-conference is a wing of Texila American University, which provides a platform to students, marketers, and professionals across the globe to conference online. With latest technologies evolving in the world, things have become more convenient for people. To be a part of this world, we need to adapt to what's new. Keeping in mind the latest trend, Texila American University, one among the renowned medical universities in the Caribbean, plan to change the way people attend conference and has brought the idea of e-conference to reality. TAU is the only private university that has launched the concept of e-conferencing and has so far enlightened over 15,000 global audience to its event. Texila American University has been developing great minds in the field of medicine, public health, business management, nursing, and information technology for more than a decade. Represented by a tradition of innovation and research, we are breaking new grounds, pushing forward the boundaries of knowledge and making an impact on our student lives. We wish to continue this tradition for a future that will define our work and recognition at the international stage. We have our campuses in Guyana and Zambia also. So here we are ready to call upon the first presenter, Dr. Adelowo Abiodun, making on the title, Making FIFA World Cup Qatar 2022 Truly, Healthy and Safe, Strategies and Legacy for Present and Future Sporting Events.
Good day, everybody. Hope everybody can hear me. Can you hear me, please?
I can hear you, doctor. Please wait a minute. Good.
Okay, so let me share my screen.
Again, one minute. Once again, I thank you, participants. That was a wonderful and insightful presentation. In addition to this, keep following our social media pages at Texila American University Consortium to get updated yourself of your recent stories, news, admission intakes, and other events. Also, you can refer your friends, relatives, and colleagues about our blended programs, which will create an opportunity for aspiring students around the world. Here we are pasting all the social media links in the chat box. Please check with that and subscribe all the links. Thank you so much. Dr. Adelowo Abiodun, I can see your video as well as your voice is audible. Can you share your screen, please?
Okay, can you share my screen for me? Can you share my paper for me?
Okay, 1 minute. Let me share from my end. Can you see my screen?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Okay, you can proceed with this presentation from the beginning, okay?
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
All right, thank you. The topic of the presentation is Making FIFA World Cup Qatar 2022 Truly Healthy and Safe, Strategies and Legacy for Strategies and Legacy for Present and Future Sporting Events. My name is Abiodun Bamdele Adelowo. Next slide, please. So I'm going to follow, I'm going to introduce it. Then I'm going to talk about the plans of the organizers of the Qatar World Cup towards the World Cup that is coming in few months' time, and I'm going to discuss the strategies that ought to be followed. Now, as an introduction, we all know that the FIFA Men's World Cup is by all standards the epitome of global single sporting event. According to available documents, it is arguably the most widely viewed and most influential global sporting event in recent human history. In fact, the last World Cup that was held in Russia 2018, it was noticed that 3.57 billion people, that translates to about 5.1.3% of the whole global population, watched at least one match of the last World Cup. That shows how engaging that the World Cup can be. And the objective of the organizer for hosting that 4-year event is to foster global unity, peace, and economic development among different people in the world. And aside that, they also use the opportunity to subtly and sometimes overtly discuss pressing global socio-economic issues or political issues. Next slide, please. So on that basis, the organizers of the next World Cup, which is going to be held this year, the FIFA World Cup Qatar 2020, the theme is LD 2022 World Cup, creating legacy for sport and health. Their intention is that aside the regular things of entertainment, they also want to use the opportunity to ensure that this World Cup makes a lasting impact for the world. And so they want to make it the event the most successful, healthiest, and safest sporting event in recent human history. And aside that, they want to rekindle the global conversation and provide public health strategies for global double disease pandemic. That means they want to engage the world in COVID-19 and non-communicable disease. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So the objectives of the FIFA World Cup Qatar 2020 is that they have about 4 objectives. That one, to increase the awareness and promotion of physical and mental well-being of the participant and the world, to create a legacy of health and safety as a vital focus for future major sporting events, to ignite, catalyze, and probably cement the aspiration for a healthy lifestyle, disease prevention, and a safer world. And lastly, to support the actualization of some global public health initiatives, such as the Health for All by 2020, and the Sustainable Development Goal 3, which is focused on non-communicable diseases. Thank you. Move on, please. Now, the objective, aside that, the reviewer now wanted to check certain indices. Now, he wanted to check that the global impact of COVID-19 and non-communicable diseases. Will it be appropriate for the FIFA World Cup to use their platform to engage these diseases and to review the possible plan that have been put in place by the organizers to solve the problem? Are these plans evidence-based? And finally, to suggest strategies that may assist the organizers to ensure that their programs meet the goals and objectives that they have set out. Next, please. Now, to carry out the review article, the researcher went online, searched for papers that are written in English in Google Scholars, Academia, ResearchGate, Medline, and etc. Then websites of some credible organizations were also investigated, like the Supreme Committee for Delivery and Legacy. That Supreme Committee for Delivery and Legacy is the organizing body of Qatar that have been charged with the responsibility of carrying out the World Cup 2022. Then the researcher also went to the FIFA website, WHO website, American College of Lifestyle Medicine, the National Institute of Health, the Wellness Council of America, the Public Health Ontario, and keywords were around the World Cup Qatar 2022, the COVID-19 non-communicable disease, the strategy that have been put in place, how people can improve behavior in mass gathering, and the inclusion criteria is that review articles on subject matters, case report, original report, books on subject matters were reviewed, and all of them, the researcher checked materials from 1998 to 2021 to ensure that they are current, while papers like editorials and commentaries were pulled out because some of those views might not be evidence-based. Now, the global impact of COVID-19, is it necessary for the organizers to focus on COVID-19? From these statistics, it shows yes. From the time that COVID-19, the outbreak of COVID-19, it has been confirmed in more than 330 million people. And the disease condition has killed more than 5.5 million people. So And we know that it is constantly mutating. We have the Delta variant at some point, we have the Omicron variant, and there's multiple waves in different countries. So it is a source of concern. And according to the document, it is arguably the world's most devastating health crisis in living memory. So if the world have a platform to address this, it is good. This picture shows how since its commencement, how the cases have been increasing, the confirmed cases has been increasing, and how the death cases have also been fluctuating. Lately, it has been reducing, but it has been fluctuating. Now, what about the non-communicable disease? Is it worth it for the organizers to focus their attention on it? It's also yes. Why? Because non-communicable disease accounts for the highest morbidity and mortality rate globally. Annually, 41 million people on the average die from non-communicable disease. That is about 71% of the global death annually. That is alarming. And to make it worse, about 50 million people in the productive age group of the world, that is 30 to 69 years, are killed annually from non-communicable disease. That is hypertension, the diabetes, cancers, and all that. And annually, the world spent about $30 trillion on healthcare just to treat these conditions. And cumulatively, the world spent about $47 trillion annually to treat these conditions. So it shows that the economic and health impact of this of non-communicable disease is massive on the world and is worth addressing. Next slide, please. And this picture shows that according to the WHO in 2016, that communicable diseases and maternal mortality, nutritional conditions account for about just 29% of global mortality, while the rest are not communicable diseases. So we can see that we have a serious problem in our hands that need to be addressed through all the avenues that are available. Next slide, please. Now, if the FIFA World Cup Qatar decide not to do anything about it, different scenarios can play out. One of them is that the national and global disease burden of COVID-19 and non-communicable disease will continue to increase and it continue to stress our economy. And aside that, the negative impact on the host country, which is Qatar, and on the world will continue to increase and become unbearable on many countries, especially the developing world. But if things are done about it, if the FIFA use the Qatar World Cup as a platform to address the situation, different things will happen. One, the global leaders will be informed again. They'll be reminded of these challenges that the world is facing. That is one. Then two, the platform can be used as an opportunity to present strategies, preventive and control strategies on how to mitigate these diseases, and those strategies can be replicated in different parts of the world. Then we can also use the global influence of football to discourage unhealthy lifestyle. We know that it is very, very difficult to change behavior. And one of the themes of this conference is enabling change. So if we want to change, we need to use different strategies, and football can be a very important external motivation for people to change. And then it can serve as a model and a legacy for future and social events. If they can get it right through the World Cup Qatar 2022, other future sporting events and social events can use these strategies to ensure that their own events are also healthy and safe. And finally, the strategies can impact on the increasing incidence of COVID-19 and the prevalence of non-communicable diseases. Next slide, please. Now, what did the organizer do? Their strategic plan is that one, they set up a team called the Host Country Health and Safety Assurance Team. And this team were mandated to promote the awareness and advocacy for safe and healthy lifestyle practices. That is their mandate. And they are made to do it through different sub-strategies. One, that meant to be the delivery of health awareness and educational message through different media platform, the conventional media platform, social media platform, that are meant to engage the participants and the world on different topics such as healthy diet, physical activities, mental health, tobacco use, health security, safe mass gathering. They also meant to do regular conduction of health and safety inspection and audit during the programs to ensure that people are compliant with their protocols. They are meant to do routine health screening for people coming, because these are one of the ways you can pick non-communicable diseases early, by doing routine health screening for them. And finally, they are meant to do workplace health promotion programs for the workers that are working before and during the World Cup. These are fantastic strategies that they have decided to implement. But the question is, are these strategies systematic enough? Are they comprehensive enough? And is there evidence-based to change behaviors? Based on the findings of the researcher, the answer is no. Why? Because the researcher noticed that their approach is what they call activity-centered model. They use the activity-centered model rather than result-oriented model. Activity-centered model means that you highlight some activities that you feel are very good for your programs, you highlight them and you implement them. While result-oriented means that you just don't implement any program or any activities. You will check the peculiar need of the people, and it's the need that will direct you on the programs that you are meant to implement. Now, this is the flaws that the researcher noticed that the organizer did not follow, and might impact on the outcome of their result. So it is their approach is not systematic enough, it is not comprehensive enough, and it might not be able to lead to sustainable behavioral change. No enough evidence that these interventions might be effective in the mega events such as the World Cup 2022. Now, what is the researcher proposing? The researcher is proposing that as a way forward, that one, the organizer need to engage the service of public health specialists that specializes in public health promotion and lifestyle intervention. These specialists are meant to look through the action plans of the event organizers and design in such a way that there will be impactful behavioral change. And this behavioral change will be sustainable. And when necessary, they are meant to engage other global experts in this field to ensure that their interventions are evidence-based, they follow the right channel, and they're able to deliver what they are meant to do. Then the second thing that the researcher is proposing is that there must be a theoretical framework. You cannot just carry out activities. Activities that intend to change behaviors must have a solid theoretical framework of behavioral change. And the researcher proposed any of these two primary theoretical framework of behavioral change, that they can use the ecological model of behavioral change. What is the ecological behavioral model? The postulator of the theory says that behavior occurs when they due to interrelationship between different factors: personal factors, interpersonal factors, environmental factors, organizational factors. And if you want to change behaviors, all these factors must be considered, and your interventions must impact all these factors to change a behavior. While the social cognitive theory says that there's always this interaction between an individual and his environment. And if you want to change a behavior, you must also impact his environment, so that the environment will impact the individual's behavior. So the researcher is proposing that either of these two primary theoretical framework must form the skeleton or the bedrock of all the activities that are going to be used during the FIFA World Cup 2022. And aside that, they must consider using some secondary theoretical frameworks to at some point during the program. Like, for example, they can consider to use the health belief model when they are giving the health awareness and education messages, because the health belief model says that if you are giving messages, you should consider that there should be that there is the recipient should have a passive susceptibility to a particular condition. They should see they should see the passive severity, the passive benefit, the passive barrier, and etc. So if you design your program in such a way that they will see that they are susceptible to that particular health problem, and it can be severe enough to cause a lasting damage to their health, and you also tell them the benefit of their changing their behavior. These are models that have been shown that makes people to change their behavior. Then finally, they should consider using the trans-theoretical model. The trans-theoretical model, it says that, for example, one of the plans they wanted to do is that they want to do a regular health screening on the participant. Now, if you check a participant that you notice that maybe the person is pre-diabetic, for example, what is the next thing? We know that to change a behavior, we know that lifestyle is one of the important things that makes people to become diabetic at some point. And to change that behavior, you can't just tell them, you can't just push information down their throat. You must check their stage of behavioral change at that particular time. Somebody that is in pre-contemplation stage, that doesn't believe that there's a need for them to change their behavior, it is of no use you just pushing your intervention to them. They are not going to change because they don't believe they have a problem. And if someone that is in maintenance stage, the person already knew that there's a problem and they're already doing measures to change it, then you also design your plans in such a way to meet them at the point of their need. So you can see that these rare theories are important when you are designing your intervention. Then the next thing they ought to do is that there should be a conceptual framework. There should be a process of achieving their goal. And when you are doing a conceptual framework or following the process, 3 areas of influence must be highlighted. One, the physical environment. You must check all the structures in the environment, the canteens, the restaurants, the gyms. Are they health conscious? Will they promote healthy living? The restaurants, do you have fruits and vegetables? For examples, in the restaurant that will encourage the people to take fruit and vegetable if they want to. So because there's no need of you encourage the people to eat fruit and vegetable where in the restaurant there is no fruit and vegetable. You want the people to cover their mouth regularly, and there is no different locations where they can easily get face mask, and there's no locations where they can wash their hand regularly. These are the physical barriers that will not allow your intervention to be effective. Then the psychosocial environment also needs to be addressed. What is the attitude of the organizers and the participants towards healthy living? What is their cultural stand about all this? All this needs to be addressed. Then finally, their personal health resources. What are the resources that you have kept in place that will make the ease of changing behavior comfortable for the people? Next slide, please. Next slide, please. So to also continue, the intervention must follow processes. It's not enough for you to just push all the intervention down the throat of the participant or of the global space. You must assess what is the present need of the people. You should assess, and different things need to assess. Assess the physical environment, as I've said. Are there enough hand washing spots? Are there enough locations to put sanitizers? Are there enough locations to put face masks and all that? And also, are there enough places to even run tests? If somebody suspects that he or she is COVID positive, can they quickly go to a place to run tests? I'll give you an example. I was in Qatar in this December, and I noticed that when we wanted to leave the country and we ran a post-COVID test, it took an average of 4 days for the result to come out because the COVID test is centrally controlled. It's only one center that does all the tests for COVID. So you can imagine, you want the program to impact on COVID incidents, and there is not enough places where people can easily run COVID tests and get their result fast. So this is what the assessment will do. It will show these needs, and you can assess it. You can solve it. Then you prioritize the problem. When you have noticed that the XYZ needs. You prioritize them based on their need assessment, which one needs to be done now or which one needs to be done later. Then after that, you set out an operational plan that from day one, when the program starts to the last day, what are the events that will take place each day? Who are the people that will carry it out? Where will they be carried out? How will they be carried out? So you set out your operational plan. Then finally, you put specific interventions in place. The PPE, enough face masks, for example, hand sanitizers, for examples, you ensure that they're on ground. Then the health awareness educational program, you would have designed them based on the needs of the people. And how are you going to disseminate it to them? Are you going to have an app? Are you going to are you going to have a dedicated website? All these things needs to be planned out. Then when you notice that these people have some certain unhealthy behaviors, how will the counseling be done? Is there going to be a specific counseling that will be done? Then if specific counseling will be done, do you have enough counselors to carry out this counseling, or you need to employ the service of some people for that particular time? Then the health and lifestyle prescription, because it is not enough. You will notice that some of them it's not enough for you to prescribe drugs for them. If you want to change behavior, it is important from available studies that you also prescribe lifestyle for these people. You should prescribe their diet, prescribe their exercise prescription, sleep, and all that. So these are the things that ought need to be in place. Then even their personal resources. What are resources that will make healthy living easy for them? Are you going to make books and booklets available for them to read? Are you going to connect them with apps that will help them to change their behaviors, or teach them on what to do if they want to engage in physical activities, for example, the type of physical activity they need to do? If they want to know the servings of fruits and vegetables, for example, you said they should eat 2 servings of vegetables per day, how are they going to assess what the servings means? So these are the things you must put in place. And finally, they should be able to evaluate the intervention to know that it has met the required standard. Next slide, please. Please just move to the next slide, the conclusion. So the reviewer is of the impression that this is a wonderful initiative, once in a lifetime, that for once the global leaders they feel that using the platform as the World Cup, they want to impact the health of the participants and the global population. It is a wonderful idea. And with the right political will, collaboration and coordination of all the stakeholders, and adoption, very importantly, adoption of the right evidence-based health promotional strategies, the goal and objective of FIFA World Cup Qatar 2022 can be driven effectively into the heart of every football lover, and healthy lifestyle may become the habit of many people from late 2022. So the event can serve as a legacy for the host nation and a standard for future sporting events and social events for them to ensure that healthy lifestyle and health becomes the priority of this event. Thank you very much. The references have been shown earlier. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Adelowo Abiodun. And participants, please raise questions in the chat box, and we are going to open the poll for the presentation done by Dr. Abiodun. Please poll for the Dr. Abiodun for the presentation done under the topic of public health stream. And looking for more questions in the chat box. Participants, please raise questions in the chat box.
Hello? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, we received one question, please. How do we translate this great presentation into the Nigeria context?
Yes, very good. To translate to Nigerian context, we are hoping that the Nigerian contingents will qualify for the World Cup Qatar 2022. Now, if Nigerian should qualify, we know we are going to send quite a number of delegates, both the athletes and the administrators, to the World Cup. If we should provide these strategies for them. We ensure that one, Nigeria, we are able to meet the objective and goals of the World Cup, which is what the plan is. Because if we should follow the strategies that have been highlighted, it is likely that there are going to be a behavioral change, impactful behavioral change among the Nigerian community. And now, if there is a behavioral change among the Nigerian community, we can now show the organizers that, see, based on the implementation of the strategies that we adopt, strategies 1, 2, 3, we're able to get better behavioral change compared to other communities that came for the World Cup. And I believe that this can be done. This can encourage the other people to adopt that strategy. That is one. Then two, even Nigeria, the world has changed. COVID-19 is here to stay. And we are going to be organizing different social programs. We are going to be organizing different sporting programs in the country. It is important for us to know that all these mega events, we should if you can follow this theoretical framework, the conceptual frameworks, and follow and well guided by public health specialists, then we should be able to get sustainable behavioral change. And by extension, the prevalence of non-communicable disease that is increasing in our community, we reduce, or we halt and reduce. And at the same time, even the COVID-19 that the way it keeps fluctuating in the country will be stabilized and probably reduced. So this is my own projection that, look, the government of Nigeria needs to look carefully at these strategies. I intend to present to them at some point, and the organizers of the Nigerian Football Federations and the Ministry of Sport need to look at this presentation, the paper, so that they can see how they can adopt as many of the strategies as possible into our event. Thank you very much.
Doctor, you have another question. Is there any specific intervention for Africans given our specific context like vaccine hesitancy?
So can you repeat that?
Is there any specific interventions for Africans given our specific context like vaccine hesitancy?
During what? During what? Can I see it?
Can I copy paste that in a chat box?
Yes.
Okay, give me 1 minute.
This context like vaccine
hesitancy, yeah.
Yes, we know that vaccine hesitancy is a big problem in Africa. And what I know is that partly one of the reasons why the people are having vaccine hesitancy is because the education or the awareness programs are not meeting their need. The education programs are not properly communicated to these people using the appropriate behavioral change model. For example, the health belief model that I said earlier, if the people should see that they are susceptible to having COVID-19, one, if they should see that COVID-19 can be severe on them and on their loved ones, if they can see that there's a benefit to their personal health and the people around them, if they should change behavior, and if they should see the barriers, if the awareness program be able to help them to highlight the barriers that is preventing them from changing, and tell them how to avoid these barriers, and also tell them how they can use their internal and external motivation to change. I believe that more people will be convinced of the need to get vaccinated, and the vaccine hesitancy will reduce. So I think that some of these strategies, the policymakers on COVID-19 in Nigeria also need to consider some of these strategies to ensure that we get better coverage with COVID-19. Thank you.
You have another question, Dr. Abiodun. How do we empower Nigerians to be serious and come out with this FIFA World Cup?
How
do we empower Nigerians to be serious and come out with this FIFA World Cup?
I think for Nigerians to be serious, about the FIFA World Cup, that one, we need to present this document and similar document to the organizers. They need to understand that the FIFA World Cup, the coming one, is more just than just entertain the Nigerian populace. We can also use it to impact our health. And that's where we public health physicians and specialists come in, that we can use different models to ensure that people, while watching the sports, we also have the benefit of changing our behaviors through the interface of different programs that or different messages that we get from the local organizing committee, because there will be different programs around it in Nigeria on the different local media. We can also design our messages along this path to ensure that the people we able effectively change their behaviors and the behaviors are sustained. The behavioral change are sustained. Thank you.
And we have a next question as a public health specialist. Can the health belief model be used as a tool here?
Yes, it can be used effectively as a tool here. It's a well-documented model that can be used for behavioral change. Almost any situation that requires behavioral change in COVID-19, not communicable disease, mental health, we can use it effectively. We just need to adopt it to that situation. Check all the substeps that need covered. All the subsets that need to be covered in terms of ensuring that people get to know that they are susceptible to a particular health condition, that they can be severe on them, that they have the benefit of them changing, etc. So if they can follow all the outlines in the health belief model, we can always get considerable behavioral change in almost any intervention that we put it to, even in Nigerian context. So it is highly possible for us to use it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for the question and session and for the insightful presentation also. Thank you. You can unshare your screen and you can make yourself as a participant and you can enjoy the rest of the day here. And in addition to this, keep following our social media pages of Texila American University Consortium to get update yourself of our recent stories, news, admissions, intakes, and other events. Here we go with Zambia links.